Tukdam karari jo karo. So he says, tuk means tukda, little piece, little moment, just one moment.
Yeah.
Tukdam, dam means breath. Karari. Karari means to be able to just control. Yeah. To be completely still. That's what karari means. If you can do this right now, just for a moment, just with one breath, just become still. Let go of everything. Don't need to think about anything. Tokadam karari jo karo. Hazir, Hazur, Khudai. That formless is present right now. Am I living like a devotee? Or am I just all these different songs, the way they are playing out? Am I letting them affect me negatively? Or am I not? And am I remaining in this state of love within me and responding out to all of this creation from that place? Am I keeping a ras, that juice of love flowing inside of me? If I am, then I'm truly pleasing to that one. Welcome to the Japji Sahib Podcast. In this episode, we'll be going through the 27th stanza that Guru Nanak Dev Ji have blessed us with. We're going to get straight into it by saying a fateh to our guest, Lovepreet Singh. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So in this episode, for this stanza, we're going to be talking about the control center. And so when you think of a control center, you think of this room that's got all this technical equipment and it's all happening in there. And you can almost imagine sitting in there, just going, typing away at everything and just saying, oh, dude, look, dude, and just making sure everything's happening the way it should be happening. So what do I mean by the control center? We're going to be talking about the home of where that creator sits to make the creation happen. And that's the control center. So Guruji starts off with giving us this wisdom, saying, So Dar Keha, so Ghar Keha, Jit Baitthe, Sarb Samale. And if we read it in that way, it almost becomes alive. So we already start to get a picture, if you're familiar with some of the words, but we already start to get this picture of what it's saying to us. So it's saying, So Dar Keha. It's a question. Dar translates to door. So it's saying, what kind of door? And then a little pause there, then we say, So Ghar Keha. So it's a question. And then we're saying, what kind of home is that? Jit Baitthe Sarb Samale. Where that one sits and takes care of everything. Sarb meaning all. Samale means to take care of. And Jit Baitthe means to sit. Have you ever had this question in your mind where you have thought, maybe at some point in your life, I don't know, you're still very young, 17? Yeah, so 17 is how old your body is, but when we get to talk to you, obviously you seem to be a lot older. You seem to have been traveling and being exposed to this wisdom more than 17 years, definitely. So at some point in your life, you may have had this question that, like, where does God, where does God sit? What is that home? Have you ever thought about this question?
Yeah.
What's come to mind when you've thought about this?
That it could be a physical place where there's these white marble floors, nice tall ceilings, there's this physical place potentially, or
Have you actually envisioned a place like that?
yeah, I've sat down and tried to be as creative as I can be, create this nice image, and yeah, I've envisioned that. But then
Ever envisioned a person or just the place?
just a place. Struggle to always envision a person. Obviously, we got our Das Guru Sahiba in their physical Sarup, and then obviously Guru Ram Sahib Ji. But other than them, it's been a bit hard to encapsulate someone who has all of this Shakti that Gurbani describes.
So I'm sure we've all done it. We've all been there at some point in our lives. We've tried to envision a place where this God figure sits and controls everything. And to be honest, when we look at the language of Gurbani as well, it can make us think like that, because Gurbani is all in a story format. Just like Guru Ram Das Ji is a line by Guru Ram Das Ji where they say that Sant jana vad bhagi paiye har kathiye akath kahani. So Sant jana vad bhagi paya har kathiye akath kahani. This is really interesting here. So when Guru Sahib is trying to describe that place, that house of Waheguru, soon as we hear the word house, soon as we hear the word sitting, automatically, of course, our mind is going to relate it to what we understand of sitting. We're sitting now. Our mind is going to think about a house, just like we have a house, and then we have, so there's time, there's space, and then you travel within that space, and it takes that much time to get somewhere. And then it's an actual place, a physical space, just like this has been made out of bricks. But I'm sure most of us visualize it to be more watery and this more, not such a solid form, but still some type of form. But it's important to understand that Guru Ram Das Ji here is making it clear that when we have that realization, we will know that har kathiye, even when the saints, meaning even when the gurus and the saints, those that have had the realization of that one, the truth, they know the truth as it is. When they kathiye, when they try and speak or explain or express of har, of that one, what they're trying to express is akat. Look at this. This now seems like a contradiction, but it's actually not a contradiction at all. It's a paradox. If you look at it, har kathiye, we're expressing something that is akat, that is unexplainable, unexpressible, cannot be caught in the boundaries of language and speech. And then the Guru throws in this word kahani. But when you look at the word kahani, here in this translation, that word's not been explained. It's not mentioned at all. And kahani means a story. Story means you're explaining something, but it's not necessarily exactly like that, but you're trying to give a closest example or an analogy that you are sharing to describe, express something that is actually unexpressible, because what it actually is can never be said. And Guru Sahib is clear about that throughout Gurbani. Je hon
Jana akha nahi.
There you go. So Maharaj says, Je hon jana akha nahi. If I do even know that truth, it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to express it. Kehna kathan na jaiye. So coming back now, that Sant jana vad bhagi paya har kathiye akath kahani. So even though the Guru has used these words like the house, the door, but it's actually not a house and a door in the way we think and the way we see it, in the way we know it. Yeah. But there's no really other way other than using relatable examples and things that we can get a little glimpse of. So this is now the part which is, again, very important to understand. is that Gurbani is an arrow. What I mean by an arrow is, so for example, say if something is over there, yeah, and Gurbani is an arrow saying it's there, yeah. But these words are not exactly that, yeah. So you've got to use Gurbani to try and then look inward to have the realization of the truth, yeah. So then you start to ponder and contemplate deeper and deeper to say, what is that house? What is that house? There's other parts of Gurbani where Gurbani talks about Vaheguru's home. So it says, "Eh jag sache ki hai kothadi, sache ka vich vas." Yeah. So it's saying, "Eho jag," this whole entire creation is sache ki hai kothadi, is the house of this, of the truth of that one. And sacha, truth means the formless. But when we think formless, don't think nothing and don't think dead. It's the formless that has an aliveness like no other. The true aliveness. Yeah, that's why we call it Anand. Because Anand isn't nothing. So many people explain that stillness that is within everything to be nothing, but it's actually something, because it's Anand, it's pure bliss, and it's alive. Yeah. So that one, "Eho jag sache ki hai kothadi," this is the house of that one. Yeah. Sache ka vich vas, that one is living within all of this. So having this understanding now, so there's not an actual door, there's not an actual location, there's not an actual place, because we often think that this particular house that Guru is going to explain now, one day after death we are going to go there. That's not how it works. Okay, so let's start now. I think we've set the scene. Okay. So Dar Keha, so Dar Keha. What is that door like? What is that home like where that one sits? So this is now the formless that is within everything and is perceiving everything, is beholding the entire creation. Yeah. So the entire creation, you could say, are the walls of Vaheguru's house. Everything within that creation, from the most subtle thing to the most, I don't know what the word is for satul, physical, visible form. So from the not so subtle to those things that aren't subtle. Yeah. Everything is, you could imagine, to be the walls of that one's house. So now that's clear, isn't it? Yeah. And so there's the formless and beholding this entire creation. And now Vaheguru gets, this is Guru Nanak now gets into it and saying that Vaje, Naad, Anek, Asankha. So if you look at here, Vaje, you could say where there is something, something is being played. Yeah, like an instrument's being played, hai na? जैसे वो ड्रामा वजदा सीगा उत्थे है ना, ढोलकी वजदी सीगी उत्थे, तबला वजदा पिया सीगा. So in that sense, the Vaje is something that's being played. What's being played here in this house of Vaheguru is Vaje Naad. Naad translates to sound. Anek means countless. Asankha also means countless, just reinforcing the same thing. Hai na? So they're saying it in Vaheguru's house. What is it that is being played? Naad. There's countless sounds. Or we can say countless frequencies of sound. Yeah, because that's what makes up this creation. Just like we've gone through many times already in this podcast, is that everything came from that sound, from that you know? So that is the Naad here. But the Naad is showing up in Anek in so many different ways, but it's all just sound really. Yeah. So now that's Waheguru's house. Yeah. And then it goes on to say, Kete Vavan Hare. Vavan Hare could be the musicians. And we've translated this to the musicians in your creation. So what are these musicians now? Can you think of a good musician?
I think Rajan sings pretty good.
Rajan Singh, yeah. Oh. He's a musician in which way? Through his
voice.
Yeah, through his vocals. But this musician here is referring to the sound that turns up, that shows up through so many forms and so many ways. Everything in this creation is a musician in its own way. Human beings, that's one form of musician. Animals, different types of musicians. Guru Sahib's going to be very specific here, and they're going to go into who these musicians are. And they're going to refer to even the Paun, even the air. That's one form of musician. Yeah. So now we're getting a much clearer picture. Now we can take our mind away from looking at all of this to saying, one day we're going to travel to a space, to a place that is then God's house. And in that God's house is going to be sitting some musicians going do 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 do. All right. So probably not sounding like that, you know. Whatever is in our mind that they are going to be playing. You know? I'll tell you a funny one. Somebody said that, you know, can't wait to go to Sach Khand. So they're referring to Sach Khand as Waheguru's house. Can't wait to go to that Sach Khand. And I said, oh yeah, why? And they said, because Guru Nanak's there doing Kirtan. I said, oh wow, okay. And they said, Bhai Mardana ji's still there as well, playing the Rabab. I said, oh, okay, so you can't wait to go there. I said, but I've observed that you struggle to sit in Kirtan here. Yeah. I go, after about 20 minutes, you're sat in the Darbar on your phone. I go, why do you want to go there when you struggle to sit in the Kirtan here? Yeah. So we've got this misconception of Sach Khand being this place that's not in line with what the Guru is saying. Yo jag sache ki hai kothari, sache ka vich vas, dui kudrat sajiye kar asan ditto chao. That look, Maharaj is saying that ਉਹਨੇ ਆਸਣ ਲਾਇਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਸਾਜੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਦੂਈ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਸਾਜੀ ਹੈ. Dui means second, so meaning from the formless created the form. Yeah, that's all Dui means. Dui means the form. Yeah, from the formless, and created this Qudrat, this Shakti, this power. All of this is just power. It's just all Shakti. Yeah, including us. Don't separate ourselves from this, because we are part of that Naad. Yeah, this whole body is part of that Naad, that sound. Yeah, and then Sajiye has made this Kar Asan, and Waheguru, the formless, is sat deep within it. Yeah, and he's beholding it. Ditto Chao, and he sat there, just behold it with delight. I didn't even know it actually translates to behold, you know, with delight and just. So what I think, if we just look, Api ne aap sachiyo, Api ne rachiyo no. No means has created all these different frequencies of one, from that one sound. And everything that has come from it is a name. That's the no. Yeah. And if we went deep enough inside now, to that formless, we could have that realization that we are sat in that house. But the house is the creation.
the thing that we're already living in.
Yeah.
That's it.
But we often don't realize it.
Yeah.
Most of the time don't. It could take lifetimes.
Mm.
Or it could take an instant.
Yeah.
In this shin.
Yeah.
एक बार जिन तुम्हें संभारा काल फांस दे ताहे उबारा महाराज says एक बार जिन तुम्हें उबारा, that with just एक बार it could take one little instant of being able to right now in this moment. There's a line by Kabir ji where they say that tukdam karari jo karo ho. And so he says tuk means tukda, little piece, little moment, just one moment.
Yeah.
Tuk dam means breath. Karari means to be able to just control. Yeah, to be completely still. That's what karari means. So I always say to Sangat that don't just see this now as a moment of let me learn this, gain more knowledge, now I know more.
Yeah.
Intellectually, forget that. Just look right now.
Yeah.
This is now Kabirji pointing us that way. Yeah, Tuk Dam Karari. If you can do this right now, just for a moment, just with one breath, just become still. Let go of everything. Don't need to think about anything. To kadam karari jo karo ho. Hazir, Hazur, Khudai. That formless is present right now. And everything is being beheld within this. Just go beyond your thoughts, beyond everything, beyond I am, beyond all of that. That's it. And that's what this is. Tukdam karari, jo karo ho, hazir, hazur khudai. Just sit with it for a moment. And you realize what that one's house is. But sorry, we have to carry on. Just one, I did say just one breath is fine. Huh? So if you come back now to Vaje, Naad, Anek, Asanka, Kete, Paree. So many musicians, you know. So now you get a picture of all these musicians.
Yeah.
It's all
adding to the palace.
It's all the creation.
Yeah.
Kete Raag, Paree, Sio Kahian. We could look at some of these words here. Do you know what a Paree is?
Singer.
Sorry?
Singer.
Yeah, like a Paree generally will be translated to either like a fairy. You know, I don't know if you're into Tinkle Bell.
A bit past that.
Yeah, just saying, you know. So, and in Gurbani, often the word Paree is referring to these like angelic beings that sing rags, sing different melodies.
Yeah.
But let's have a look at what it means here. Kete Raag Parisyo Kahin. So what we've translated here is there are many ragas that subtle beings are expressing. Kete Vavan Hare. Kete Gavan Hare. And there's many that then sing. If you look at the word Raag, even though Raag can be translated to often it's translated to love, but Raag also means emotion. Again, remember, this is all being put into a story form. Yeah. And through our mind, we can create and manifest things into many different forms, and they will slightly differ. But if you look at it at a more subtle level, the Paree is more of, again, an expression through that story of, through the Shakti of that one, this whole entire creation is also made up of layers and layers of emotions. And those emotions are associated even with the elements. We experience those emotions in different ways as human beings. And these emotions exist within this creation. So it's saying that Kete, Raag, Paree Kahiyan. If you imagine these little fairies are singing these different ragas, but meaning that from these a subtle place from that one are being produced all these different emotions that exist within this creation, within this existence. Kete Gavan hare, and there are many that are expressing and singing these different emotions. Some are literally singing them that have learned Raag. So they have tapped into certain emotions and then they literally express them through different instruments, like the rabab, like the dilruba, the tons, and in all these different ways. So you can, even when that sound is being played, it's just an emotion. If you tune yourself into it, you can then activate that emotion within yourself to be able to express something, move through something, understand something. But we are also singing these emotions through the experience of those emotions. And sometimes the emotion can become unbalanced, and then it can show up as anger as well. How's your experience with singing that emotion?
Rather not touch on that topic. When you don't have that vent, that way to sing that emotion, we'll often let it get bottled up, and then it will overflow out of us in a different way, like anger, or in a negative way, which could cause harm to others. Which I think it's so, this Pankti really touched me, because we, in essence, can be that buddy at the same time, with singing all about our different emotions that we feel. And so many different emotions come up in Gurbani, and so many different Panktis. Sometimes Maharaj will be in Raag, sometimes will be absolutely besotted in love. But then in that emotion, Maharaj found that vent to express that emotion that we can enjoy today.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. We often see that so much even in Guru Arjan Dev Ji's Bani, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, where they long and then they have the union. So again, there's so much that we could get into, so much at the heart that we could get into, so much of the emotions that we could get into. If we just look at where Guru Arjan Dev Ji is going through an emotion of longing, where they are saying, Suni yaar hamare sajjan, ek karon binantiya, tis mohan laal pyare hon firo kho jantiya. Where they're saying that I am searching and I am khojdayam. Like the word, like just the way it's said, for my beloved. And that's a type of expression. And that's a type of an emotion. And then there's that Paree is singing it through that emotion. You are experiencing it, her singing. Now, so Maharaj's made everything sound so beautiful and magical and mystical. What a beautiful way of looking at this creation. And this is what this whole game is about. It's just, it's union, it's separation, And then, but in that union, you get to, even if we just go back a little bit, if we like this whole contrast, and later on in this body where Maharaj is going to talk about the variety, the rangi panti, kar kar jinsi maya jin upai, that, and we can come back and forth to this pankti throughout, because this body talks about the variety of life, and the variety of life, we are only experiencing it because there is this contrast. Now think about forgiveness. Why is forgiveness even needed? Why is forgiveness so sweet? Because at some point you would have experienced bitterness.
Yeah.
How would you know the sweetness of forgiveness if you hadn't experienced that bitterness of just that bitterness? You know, and of non-forgiveness. It's only because you experience that you would know the value of forgiveness. If there was no one making mistakes, if there was nobody messing up, then forgiveness, there's no space for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even exist. But we get to experience the beauty of forgiveness even for self, because at some point we went astray, we fell over and we messed up. But then to experience that self-forgiveness, we needed to mess up to feel, to experience it. And this is what the different colors of life are all about.
Yeah.
Would you like to share something about self-forgiveness?
Yeah.
What's your relationship with it?
It's been hard, but if you give yourself time and space after reflecting on the situation, personally for me, it allows me to feel a lot of gratitude, because without having that bad experience, you could say, you won't be able to, like you said, you have to have that contrast to know something sweet. You'd have to taste something bitter, and it's allowed me to find the bad times a lot more easier to go through, and a lot more comforting in a way.
So, like, my ardas is that you know this body can become alive, and it could be just a completely different perspective now for the sangat when they hear this. If we go back now to Kete Raag prisyo kahin, Kete Gavan hare. Then Maharaj continues to say, Gaveh Tuhono, Paun Paanee Santar. Saying that, look how many are singing of you, Vaheguru. So this is still now the house that Vaheguru lives in. And the stillness can be watching all of this, and the whole creation becomes this song now. And this music is being played in so many different ways. And one of the ways that this music is being played and the song is being heard is through Gaveh Tuhono. Paun is the air. The air that is made up of these different gases. And then essentially break it down more, these atoms that are singing in this different way, making up then Paun, making up the air, saying that I'm just seeing and beholding all of this. That the air is singing in its own way, just being what it is. Paanee, the water, Basantar, the fire, and then Gaveh Raja Dharam Dware. And when it says that at your door, remember there's no actual door. Yeah. It's just before you, before that formless, that stillness, that bliss, before you is then also the Raja Dharam Dware. And we often, again, when we think of Dharam, Raja, this righteous king or this judge at your door, and we think of an image. Yeah. But here it's saying, again, there's a system behind all of this that is working. There's a nature to everything. And nothing can escape that nature. Yeah, and that is that the nature to it is the Raja, is the Dharam, is that righteous judge, meaning that nothing can be altered in the way, in the nature of all of these different elements. They just are what they are. The consequence, the ripples of whatever they come into contact with, to whatever they touch, it's all just what it is. So now if we look at how this music that Maharaj is talking about, that's being played, how does it show up? What does Maharaj even mean by that? And we touched on it just earlier. And now Maharaj refers to it as a song. Let's look at the song. Yeah, can you see the song? Oh, you can't see a song. Sorry. Let me say that again. Can you hear the song? Can you hear it? So when Maharaj is saying, listen to somebody singing, they're saying that, well, guess who's singing? Gaveh, Tuhono, Paun. Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, well, O formless one, where everything comes from, singing to you also is the Paun, the air. So the air comes from that Naad, but in one of the forms that it turns up in, that sound, is in the song of air. Imagine if we just became little kids within our mind and started to see everything like that. Started to see life and the world in that way. It's not even that Maharaj is saying, this is a nice way of looking at it. It's true. Because if everything is a sound, the creation is, and then everything has got its own song. So it's singing in its own way. That's just a different frequency. Yeah. So the air is singing in that sense. And Maharaj is describing it in that way. Just become present to it. So that meaning our breath is a part of that air. So when I say our, part of this body, so we could look at when we just take a conscious breath. When you take that conscious breath and you're present to that air going in, that's one form of song. Yeah. And then you can then look, then Maharaj says Paanee. Paanee is another type of song, just another frequency. This is why Guru's home. Yeah. And then you just become conscious, like those of you that are only listening, I've got a glass of water in my hand, so when we look at that water, that's just another song. That's a song. Yeah. You start looking at life like that, which is the reality as well. It's not just a made up way to look at it. It's the truth. It's singing in its own way. Yeah. And then Baisantra, and then fire. Just like Guru Nanak Dev Ji says in Asadivar that Vismad Agni Kete Vidani, is that right? No? So they're saying that, look, Vismad Agni Kete Vidani. Vidani means in this great way, in this glorious way. Look, the Agni, the fire is Kete, is playing. I know they've used the word here, works. But Kete actually means playing. So it's saying that that fire is playing in Vidani. Look at this glorious play of fire. And it turns up in different ways. We experience it. The sun, the heat within our body that breaks down our food, that regulates the temperature in our body. It's just playing. Maharaj saying, look, that's another song. Yeah. So it's singing, but that singing is the house. That one state is living within. That's the house. And I repeat that again and again so that somehow we can reprogram ourselves. But the true reprogramming comes from when there's a moment of experience. Gaveh Raja Dharam Dware. Like really, this can be done in the morning as a form of Simran, as a form of true remembrance of what everything is. So this doesn't, once we get a gist of what the words mean, then you can read it in a way where it's just there. So it's so Dar Keha, so Kar Keha, Jit Beh Sarb Samale, Vaje, Naad, Anek, Asankha, Kete, Vavan Hare, Kete, Raag, Paree, Kahian, Kete, Gavan Hare. So you're actually in it, you're feeling it. And then you start to Gaveh, Tuhono, Paun. Just for that moment. Just for that moment, become conscious to the ear. No, look at that song. Singing in its own way. Paun, Paanee, Basantar, Gaveh, Raja, Dharm Dware. The Raja Dharm Dware, Raja literally means king. Here it's translated to judge. And then Dharam, righteousness, or Dharam can mean the way, the nature to something. Dware again, at the door of that one, but not literal door, remember? Yeah, so meaning that there's a song within these different songs, within these different ones that are singing in their own way, being the elements, but within them elements is also singing, which is the Dharam Raj, meaning that to each element it has its own nature. And nobody can mess and alter the nature of that. So the way fire sings, it is what it is. It provides heat at certain, like when it heats something else and it gets to a certain temperature, whether it burns or not burns, all of that, the nature of that, something within that is a song as well, that is singing as well, which has set the nature of it. And that's Dharmaraj. Nobody can mess with him. He's like there. मैंने पंगा लेके देख मैं नहीं हिलदा I am what I am करके देख ला जो मर्जी. That's it. You can't take पंगा with Dharmaraj, bro.
That's it.
You want to try?
I'm alright. Stay out of his way.
You want to try and change the nature of fire?
No.
I thought Lovepreet might give it a shot.
Seems a bit too much for me.
You sure?
Yeah.
That's Dharmaraj. There's a song within the song that sets the nature to all the different songs. Yeah. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Unpacking everything.
Yeah. Gaveh Chit Gupt Likh Janeh. Likh Dharam Vichare. So you might have heard of Chit Gupt, Chitran Gupt. I think they're good friends of yours.
I hope so.
So do you hang out with them?
Once or twice. I kick about in the park.
Okay, so we've translated these two. So normally Chitran Gupt are depicted as being these two little beings, angelic beings, or whatever you want to refer to them as. We'll get into in a moment. What we've translated them to is these two little characters sitting on your shoulders and just keeping a record of everything you're doing. And you know, these little to create and depict these characters can be very useful. Just because it may not be that way but these stories can have a very positive impact on our lives. As long as we don't make them into negative fear, they can be used in a very positive way as well. So let's just explain first. So here we've translated that Chitra and Gupt, the symbolic energies that record our physical and subtle actions. So I think that captures quite well what we're trying to explain here. But often, have you ever used that for yourself to help you to make more conscious choices and to make your actions more conscious, where you've maybe visualized or envisioned or created a picture that somebody's watching you and there's somebody sitting on your shoulders?
Yeah.
You've done that?
Yeah. It helped me act more righteously in that way. As just like a child would want, when their mother's watching over them, they want to do the best. Then if this supposed Chitra and Gupt are writing our accounts and they're going to report back to this God, then I kind of want to please them as well.
So look, these things can be very useful for us. And basically all they are saying is that reminding us that we cannot escape from that Dharmaraj. We cannot escape from the nature of these elements, of how everything is made up. Yeah. So it can be very positive for us to think that, to know that nothing can be escaped from that dharam, from the nature of everything's working, whether it be from subtle, whether it be then Gupt. Gupt is the subtle, which are our thoughts and then emotions. Just remember the Paree singing, these different emotions. So these different emotions have an effect. The effect is basically Dharmaraj. And then, so if we decide to remain angry for long periods of time, I don't mean when it just comes up for a few seconds and it's an alarm bell and then we need to pay some attention to something, because it could be that somebody is doing wrong to us, whatever that might be. Somebody could be abusing somebody, and it could be an alarm bell, and it shows up initially as some sort of rage. But if we hold on to that, that's now a song, that's an emotion, anger. That has its own effect on on this body then. How it's going to affect my blood, how it's going to affect my mental health, how it's going to show up then. That effect is what it means, that's Gupt. Emotion is subtle. I cannot then now escape the effect of that emotion. So it allows me to become conscious that I cannot escape you. Yeah. So let me be more conscious of this. Let me see if I can now work through this emotion and release this emotion. And we're not going to get into what this isn't, like we can't get into the psychology of these things because we're going to do the Pauri, huh? But this gives a picture now what we're saying. Yeah. Then the Chit is more so, you could look at that as physical actions, right? So something very like obvious, like I could just say my hand now hitting against this marble worktop. It's not actually marble, it's a quartz. There's probably a bit of marble in there. I don't want to lie because that would be subtle. And then Gupt is there, I ain't going to be able to escape it. So that's got its own consequence. So look, I'm being truthful. Quartz, smack my hand on it. Yeah. And that is something then more physical. But then the nature, meaning the law of what it would mean then, depending on the speed that I hit that worktop at, the impact that it has against a certain material, and then the effect that it leaves on the hand and on that material, I cannot escape from that. Yeah? And that's Chit. Words are an interesting one because obviously they come from the subtle layers of your thoughts, your emotions, from your patterns, your habitual ways. But then once the word comes out, that is then Chit, as in what the, that little character catches. Yeah. So what I've said out loud, yeah, and then the potential effects and the ripples that leaves. That's why Maharaj talks about the 3 modes of the man, bach, karam. Again, I want to keep moving through this because I want to get this translated. So, but I think as much as we're giving is going to give Sangat a much, hopefully, a deeper understanding to this. Gaveh, Chit, Gupt, Likh, Janeh. Likh, dharam vichare. So what Maharaj is saying is, even they are singing, meaning that that's a type of song as well. Yeah, these records that are being written, and these records that are being written also means it's a song in the sense of the habits that we are forming now from what we are doing. And then when something, then what we refer to in Punjabi or from the Sanskrit term is becoming our sanskar. So then it becomes our overall energy that starts to carry us in this world. That's what it means for Likh Janeh. Yeah, so it's a type of song that is happening as well, is when we keep doing these things again and again. Yeah, they're subtle and they're not so subtle. Then these are becoming ingrained in us and we start carrying them as habits, as addictions. Then, so addiction is then a step after a habit. A habit is often when, so certain habits can be subconscious level that aid us in this world all the time. Yeah, like walking, like driving a car, But then there's certain, like we don't want to have to learn a car every time we go to driving, that'd be a bit odd car. Or, every time we're about to speak, we're like, how do you do this again? And we have to learn again. So obviously that's how this, but then there's certain habits that we form where it's just very default, But then that can become an addiction as well. Addiction is when you're now doing something, you can't help but doing something and you don't even want to do it anymore. Yeah. And that could be being on social media. You've used it for the purpose you need to use it, but now you just can't get off it, and you don't even want to be on it. It doesn't even feel good. It feels quite empty, but you just can't get off it. And that's then an addiction. Yeah. So that's what this is talking about. Gaveh, Chit, Gupt, Likh, Janeh, something that gets written that starts to have then a deeper impact on your energy that keeps showing up as these cyclic patterns in your life. Yeah? We probably don't look at Chit and Gupt in that way. So, Likh dharam vichare. And then the way we've translated this is that the judge of righteousness makes a conclusion on those records. So the patterns that we keep showing up in is just then the impact of what we've been doing. And then it shows that we've not been able to escape from that, is what it means that Likh dharam vichare. That everything's been seen. And we can't escape from our own ways, what we've done. Okay, and then we've got Gaveh, Esar, Barma, Devi, Sohan, Sada, Savare. So now, the way we've just translated this is Esar is referring to Shiva, the destructive power. Then Brahma, the creative power. So, and then Sohan, Sada, Savare. We've here got the word Devi as well. And then we've translated that, and the feminine energy, sing of the one. So these are all, you can just look at different types of songs. So you've got Shiva, that inertia, something that starts to die out, something starts to come to an end. We all get tired after doing something. Yeah, that's the Shiv energy. Yeah, so we can keep talking now. If we keep talking now, and then eventually we'll get tired. And that's, you can look at that, that's Shiv. That's the song of Shiv. Yeah. And then eventually when we actually need to sleep, that's a form of Shiv as well. Yeah. And then you have your rest. Your body's resting, it's been nurtured. That can be looked at as then Vishnu. Yeah. And then when we wake up in the morning fresh, most of us don't wake up fresh because we're not living the way we need to be living. So that's another topic. Yeah, we could cover one day, Hannah. Feeling fresh just could be well rested, and that's your Brahma. And just another way of looking at it, just wanted to introduce these Shaktiyan to the Sangat, Hannah. So Gaveh, Esar, Barma, Devi, and eventually Shiva represents then when this body completely comes to an end as well. Death of the body, the complete end of this body in this form. Hannah. But it still goes off back to the elements. So it starts again, the process does, doesn't it? So these are these different songs. Yeah, the creative, destructive, the nurturing, all of that's just happening. And then within that, within these, then you've got the feminine energy as well. Yeah, again, we can't get into each topic because we want to just introduce everything to the Sangat. Sohan Sada Savare. So like they are always and beautifully adorned by the one. So you could look at them as part of that one's beauty, part of that one's beauty. So if we continue through this journey of different songs, and then in these different songs now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji will just go through and just keep describing this song in different ways. Gaveh is said to be the king of all the deities. So you could look at the deities as being these beings that are at a more elevated state spiritually. That's one way of looking at it anyway, without, and so keeping it simple. Gaveh in the Indaasan Baitthe, that there's those many of them, right? Indras, these kings of the deities sitting on their thrones, and then Devte Andar Nale with all their different deities, they're all singing to you as well. And that could just mean like a nice simple way of looking at that could be there could be many bodiless beings in different subtle forms, and they are vibrating at a certain frequency, so they are singing. But that could also be whilst we are within this form as well, when we are more compassionate, or we're vibrating at certain frequencies. Many ways of looking at it. And then Maharaj saying Gaveh has said the Samaadhi Andar Gavan Sad Vichare. And now it just seems like Maharaj is just going into all these different types of forms of people and beings. So saying that those are singing as well in their own way, meaning turning up in life at a certain frequency. And the song is however they are showing up in this world, a part of your creation, which you have left them to show up, however, based on the way they are directing your energy. And some are directing your energy and singing and using your Naad to sing in this way. And that's, as I said, the Samaadhi Andar, meaning that there's people with spiritual powers in deep meditation. Gavan, Sad Vichare, and then those that are spiritually accomplished, that are deeply contemplating, they sing of you. That's a certain type of frequency. They are a certain type of songs. And then Gavan, Jatee, Satee, Santokhee. And remember, it's the Shakti's there, and based on our desire and the way we use that Shakti, we experience that creation in a different way. So it depends how you want to experience it.
Yeah.
However you want to be singing. Yeah. So these are different ways people are showing up and singing and experiencing the creation. So Gavan, Jatee, Satee, Santokhee, Gaveh, Veer Karare, and many of these terms we have covered already in the podcast. So now we'll just go through them. So Gavan, Jatee, celibate, and then those who speak truthfully, and then those who live in contentment. So you've got the Jatis, the celibates, you've got the Satis who speak truthfully. That's one translation of it when we did our research. And then you've got the Santokhees, which are the ones that are living in contentment. They're not chasing after material things. Gaveh, Veer Karare. And then there's those strong warriors, Veer, those strong Karare. Karare could be translated here to the strong, Veer being the warriors. And that's a different type of song. Yeah. So they're singing through being that. Yeah. Don't know if you can relate to the Veer Karares.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. Maybe you've been in the receiving end from a Veer Karara.
Yeah.
Karara Veer.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we've all maybe experienced some of that spirit in our life where we're singing from that place as being a warrior, a Karara one, like a rough one. Yo, that guy's raw. Gavan, Pandit, Paran, Rakh, Esar, Jug, Jug, Vedan, Nale. And then Maharaj is saying that then throughout the ages, the Hindu scholars and the great sages, so Gavan Pandit, which is the Hindu scholars, and then Paran, Rakh, Esar, Jug, Jug, Vedan, Nale. The Rikis, right, which are these great sages, and through then the Vedas, Paran, that's the way they are showing up in this creation. So some are showing up in this creation, their song, a part of this big song, big sound, but their song is this, that they research and come to know the Veds, and they study the Veds, and then some turn up as these great sages. So all Maharaj is doing is just painting the whole creation for us. And the one that is at the core of it is referred to as the truth. That's Sach Khand. The place of truth. The formless is the place of truth. Gaveh mohaniya man mohan surga mach payale. And those enticing women who entice the mind of people, mohaniya man mohan, in heaven, this world and the lower world sing of you. So again, this is just a picture of how different frequencies are showing up in this creation. And there are those that are mohaniya, manmohan, that entice the mind. There's certain energies, and they don't have to be specifically women here in that sense, but it's talking about an energy that can be a very enticing form of energy, which is here described to be feminine. And feminine doesn't mean to be a woman. Yeah. So, but we've just gone in line with how it's been written. Yeah. So I'm sure there's been times where your mind has been enticed by certain things. And then we get enticed, the mind gets enticed all the time by different things. Yeah. This could be the taste of something, gets enticed by it. And that energy of when you get enticed is referring to the Mohniya man mohan. Yeah. And then Surga mach piyale. And then it's talking about Surg being, then it just goes into the different places, whether it be of whatever realm, earthly realm, a heavenly realm, a lower realm, and that exists all here and now as well. Yeah? And that journey could continue when we leave this body, go through experiences without having this physical body of experiences that are not so pleasant, that are more pleasant. Yeah. Gavan ratan upaye tere aठ साठ तीरथ नाले. I'm just going to read this out, literally saying the jewels created, the jewels being the ratan, created by you. Upaye tere means created by you, by Vaheguru. And then aठ साठ तीरथ नाले, and the 68 places of pilgrimage sing of you, meaning that they're a type of frequency. They're just a type of song. So are ratan, so are jewels. Even that's just a song. That jewel's just a song. And if you just start seeing the creation like that, yeah. And if you look at a jewel next time, you see a stone next time, you just say, oh, look, that's a type of song. Yeah. And then Gaveh, Jod Maha Balasura, Gaveh Khani Chare. Then the great, brave, powerful warriors and the four sources of creation sing of you. And these are just different songs as well. Some are Jode, are just so brave. Mahabal, they've got so much strength. Yeah, the Surme, that's just a different type of song in this creation. Yeah, and then these different types of the four sources of creation, the way things come into to be, how things are born. There's different ways of how things are born, whether it be through the womb, whether it be through an egg, however something shows up in this creation. That's a song itself. Yeah. Gaveh Khand Mandal Varpanda, Kar Kar Rakhe Tare. And then all these khandas, the planets, the mandals, the solar systems, the Varpanda, the universes, and then Kar Kar Rakhe Tare, created and placed by the one, sing of you. Say tudnu Gaveh, Jo tud pavan, Ratte tere pagat rasale. And then there's a little switch here. I was getting to reflect now, saying, well, however, only those who are pleasing to you truly sing of you. Your devotees are imbued in your love. It's saying that say tudnu Gaveh, Jo tud pavan, Ratte tere pagat rasale. But for me, this means that am I living as this? It questions me. Am I living like a Bhagat? Am I living like a devotee? That Ratte tere Bhagat rasale. Am I living with that ras in my life? Because rasale can be translated to, because Allah can mean house as well, like a bird's nest. No? And Allah. And then saying that, have I got the house of ras within me, the house of love within me? Am I living like a devotee? Or am I just all these different songs, the way they are playing out? Am I letting them affect me negatively? Or am I not? And am I remaining in this state of love within me and responding out to all of this creation from that place? Am I keeping a ras, that juice of love flowing inside of me? If I am, then I'm truly pleasing to that one. Or Kete Gavan, se main Chit na avan, Nanak kya vichare. And then just Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying so many other sing of you. they do not come to mind. Se main chit na avan. Nanak kya vichare? How can Nanak think about them all? Because Guruji is reminding us that the creation of that one is limitless. That one is limitless. So Maharaj is saying it's not even possible to bring all of them to mind, because this entire creation is forever expanding. So it's actually not possible, because by the time you finish the sentence, there's more. There's more, because it's forever expanding.
Yeah.
So you can't. And this is just so beautiful in the way it's Maharaj is humbling themselves before this house, this creation. Soi soi sada sach sahib, sacha sachi nai. And then like that, one is always the true master. So meaning that within all of this, there is something in there that is always true, meaning that doesn't change. Everything else is in constant change. Everything else you cannot hold on to. But within there is something that is always true. That is never changing. There's no up or down. That just is. Because we're just sometimes over there, sometimes down here, up and down. No. There's plenty of pangatiyan that come into mind, but but we'll carry on. There's like Maharaj says things like Kabhu jiyada oob chadta hai, kabhu jaye pyale. But this jiyada is up and down, up and down. But there's something within this soi sada sach sahib. The master, meaning the one that is behind all of this, is just constantly that stillness of truth. It just is that truth, which is what we said in the beginning of the podcast. That's always available to us. Yeah. Always available. If we can just get out of our head for a moment. That's why Kabirji said, can you for a moment just still everything? Just going back to that. Tukdam, karari, jo karaho. Saying tukdam karari. Can you just make everything just go still? And that means I am not a dad. I'm not a brother. I'm not a worker. Nothing. In this moment, I'm nothing. None of those are my true self. Can I just make that go still? Meaning, can I just know that reality, that all those things are just a actor or an actress that I'm using to play in this play, to take part in this song. And that's soi sada sach sahib. Sacha sachi nai, the one's divine law is true to itself. Yeah. Doesn't change for anyone. However it all works, it just works. Happy hosi, jai na jasi. That one who created the creation exists now. That true self exists right now. Not tomorrow, not after death. That we can only, meaning that we can only access it after death. That's the biggest illusion ever. Keep thinking it's tomorrow. But wahan to jaiye jo yahan na hoye. That this is Bhagat Ramananda ji. That's why he says that, well, I would only go there if it's not here. We could translate this in so many ways. Let's just translate it to one way, that I would only wait to go there after death if you're not here already. If Sach Khand doesn't exist right now, I would only go there then. I've been trying to look forward to going there. Kat jaiye re, he's saying. Kar lago rang. Kitthe jaiye? Kar vich lag gaya rang. My true internal self is already love. Where should I go? Soi sada Sat Sahib, sacha, sachi nai happy hosi. Hai jai na jasi. Rachna jin rachai will always be and will not leave. Jai na jasi, not going anywhere. He's saying it's up to you lot. Whenever you want to come, I ain't going nowhere, bro. I'm chilling. Yeah. Rangi panti. So basically, this is everything we've gone through. We've just gone through all the different colors. We've just described it as different songs. Whole creation are just different songs. My different emotions. When I get stuck in a certain personality for a while, personalities aren't permanent. They're just different colors. There's different colors in so many different ways. Our skin colors can differ based on how our skin is reacting to the sun. What region of the world we are in. We are varieties of colors in that way. We are variety of colors where personalities are concerned. We are variety of colors of if you generally experience a certain type of emotion more. It's just a variety of so many different things. But that's what makes life. Are the different colors. Yeah. Kar kar jinsi. Maya jin upai. The one has created all the various colors and delusions. Can we enjoy? Can we just know that we are something deeper than all of that, but at the same time, not run away from it and experience joy through these different colors? And the different colors turn up in our own life as different emotions too. Kar vekha, kita apna, chivtisti badiyai. That which the one has created is observed by the one as per divine law. My Guru is not attached to any of it. It's just allowing it to happen and just watching it from a place of stillness, from Sach Khand, from the place of truth, place of stillness, just watching, allowing it all to happen. That Sach Khand exists within us. That Sach Khand exists within us right now. That is the truth. That is every time Maharaji says, Satnam. Satnam is in us right now. Jo tis bhav hai, soi karsi, hukam na karana jai. Everything only happens as per that one. No one can order that one. Hukam na karana jai. Our little identity that thinks we are separate to everything cannot say that I'm going to order that one to change the way everything works. It's not going to happen. Sorry, Lovepreet. I know you've tried. Chal, koi nahi hai.
Always worth a try. Always worth a try.
So Paat Shah, Shahan Paat Sahib, Nanak Rahan Razai. that one is the king of kings. And Guruji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying that remain in the will of the one. Nanak Rehna Razai. And there's two simple ways for us to look at that, and we'll then say a Fateh. Two simple ways to look at Nanak Rehna Razai is that, for one, whatever the effects are of our choices and actions, is how much acceptance we live in regard to those, is what is referred to as is living in that raza. And then the second part to that is there's a flow, which is called the flow of hukam, that is naturally allowing us to evolve and go back to that divine consciousness. It's saying live in that, don't block that, don't resist that. And you're thinking, how do I resist it? All the things that Maharaj tell us not to do is resisting that flow to merge back with Vaheguru. Example is just giving energy and talking about others with ill intention, inaccurately, or whether it's even the truth, with ill intention. Yeah. That is one thing that will block that flow from us naturally becoming a part of a knowing and becoming more and more conscious, emerging and having union. So Rehna Razai, remain in that natural flow. You don't have to work out what to do. We just need to work out what not to do, but we don't need to work it out. We just need to Gur Prasad, be in the Guru's grace, meaning just listen to the Guru, what not to do. The things that Guru tell us to do, like praise that one, that speeds that process up for union. Theek hai? Is there anything you'd like to share as we?
One question would be is that we went to Gaveh, Tuhono, Paun, Paanee, Andar, rather than seeing everything as Paun or Paanee. If I was to have a look at this water glass now, how can I see that Naad, that song, dancing through it, rather than just seeing it as Paanee?
How is what Maharaj said later on in this body, Ratte tere bhagat rasale. Approach it from a place of devotion. Don't create these fractions. Don't create this, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't separate things in your mind. When I sit down to read Gurbani, that I do with devotion. And the rest of the life I just do as normal. You can use your time sitting down to read Gurbani as devotion, as practice to become devoted to everything. So then I approach this just like the way you would get ready. If you say read Gurbani and you do roll, read from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, like for example, say like Nanak Sar, they have a dedicated space to where Maharaj sits on their throne, and you have to have bathed, wear clean clothes, everything you do, try and do to the T. You even go there with this positive fear, and you don't want to have any dirty thoughts in there. So even if they come up, you just want to let them go, and you go with as much preparation as you can. Use something like that as your practice ground for the level of devotion you go into doing and reading Gurbani, connecting to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Use that to become a bhagat of even approaching this water, to know that this is alive. because this is a song of yours as well. Yeah. And this very thing here is going to become a part of this body, which is a mandir, which is a temple that is housing your light. Har mandir hai, wo sareer hai, gyan, ratan, pargat hoye. That then why wouldn't I want to treat this with devotion to help for it to react in this body in a certain way, in a loving way, because this body is an opportunity to unite back with that one. Yeah. So you can have that approach to this water to say, wow, you're going to become a part of this temple. This temple is the form that I can realize that truth through this temple is my opportunity. And just, wow. And then we say thank you to someone if they help us pick up some shopping bags. How about saying thank you to this water, to this song? That is going to help hydrate us. That is going to help to keep us alive. When I say us, I mean the body that we are in, to keep this body going, to function as well as it can, for us to have that realization and serve this world in. Why wouldn't we just take a moment and just say thank you and drink that water? And then you've become Ratte tere pagda rasale, rasale, ras. Ras nal piyo. Drink it with pure ras, with pure juice, with pure love, affection. And then you'll be pleasing to that one as well. Yeah. So you try and purify yourself physically when you go into a space, certain space to do a Khand bath, but you want to purify the mind as you approach that water. And use those spaces as a training ground to do this in life. And do the same then when you're about to speak to someone. ठीक है?
हाँ जी. Perfect.
Okay ji, Sangat ji. So experience the song, which is the house of that one. The walls, the door, all of this song in these different forms is that one's house. That's it. Enjoy it. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.